Let's get into it, man. 4 tracks. I don't really mind that. I feel like if I use all of these with samples, there's plenty in here to work with samples. Reminding that, you know, you can chop a sample by copying it, and you can chop a sample on the steps. So there's plenty to work here with samples. The 4 tracks to me is just not a limitation at all. You can only, the way you transfer files, to me, you know, why can't you just hook up a USB here and have it on a USB, have all my drums here that I can take on other samplers? The only way to put samples in here is to connect this to a computer and then connect your computer to the internet and load stuff to the Ableton's website. So I gotta load my samples into Ableton's website, and then that will transfer the files to this. Does that make any sense? I don't understand if this is inside of the machine, but I just don't see it, is that samples are monophonic, meaning that they only play once. You can't overlap the same sample. Let me get here to this. So there's no way to overlap the sample. It's monophonic. The other thing now that we're here is that there's only one choke group. I mean, that unnecessary limitations. Again, I feel like certain limitations should just not be included. And what I'm going on about is just like, to me, it feels like just basics of a sampler. Like, why can't I simultaneously play another pass so I can layer stuff together? There's no bandpass here. And you only have one filter per pad. So if I want to cut the lows and the highs of a sample, I can't because there's no bandpass. I'm sure this is going to come in the future. Again, it's one of those things. It's just not here. Okay, so I've put the snare here. Okay, and first of all, notice that if I want to automate a step, what it does is that it automates all the steps, not just that step. So if I press here, right, and I tap on the pitch, see how everything lights up? So it's actually automating. If I push this up, like, or down so you can hear it, it has now automated the step, but it has done more than automating the step. It automated the pad as well. So right now, if I put another step right there, you're actually putting a step that is already automated to a different pitch. So you're not just automating that step, you're automating everything that comes after it until it hits a new step. So now if I want that just to be normal, I have to go and automate it, put it back to 0. And now notice that it automated everything after that. If I tap the pad here, before it reaches that one, it plays at this pitch. And if I stop the sequence after this step, it plays it at a different pitch. And remember, this is for any adjustment that you make here. So if it means that I can never go and kind of play the pad again, because if there's automation in the lane for that pad will always play with the automation of where you stop the sequence at. There's no way for you to play the sample back at its original state. Imagine that I'm chopping a sample through the steps. If now I'm chopping the end of a sample, that pad will only play the end. I can't play it to its original form. I was trying to figure out resampling, and the way I see it, it just makes no sense. Let's go, what is that? Right, let's go inside of this. Let's go here. Now let's say I've changed this. I want to resample this to this pad. How do I do it? You can't do it. So this would be a great workaround for the lack of filters in the machine. Let's say I wanted to apply an effect and resample it, apply another effect, resample it, and keep on resampling pads with effects. You can't do that because the resampling triggers the sampler. So, and that to me makes no sense. So if all the pads light up, if I press a pad, I mean, at this point, I can't even press the sound that I wanted to trigger. I have to press another pad to record, which means I can't really trigger the sample. This is just, I don't know who thought of this, but I guess the idea is to resample the outputs of the play, because if I can't explain how this makes no sense. Like, if I press a pad, this plays. And you know, if I can't have this resampling, it means that I just don't have enough effects on the machine per pad, because if I can't resample a pad to another pad to apply more effects and have like this resampling workflow, I gotta have more effects. I was expecting to actually make a lot of content with this machine. I was expecting to have it as a friend for years to come. I'm not mad about the machine or anything. I'm just mad about this idea of this idea of limitations, of putting limitations inside of a machine like it's the greatest thing ever, like it's a function inside of a machine. Like, oh, it got limitation. This thing has limitations. It's great. I'm so tired of this, especially like we have so many samplers with limitations. Why can't you make a sampler without limitations? Like, it's 2024, and I can't understand why people keep making samplers that have so many limitations inside them. Maybe future updates will have all these things in there, and maybe the machine will be different and all of those things, but for now, I can't really keep it. I want people to make samplers with no limitations in there. I was expecting Ableton to actually be in the company that they are, to come out with a sampler that has really creative functions in there, not limitations. Limitations is not a function. And I'm really sick and tired of this marketing of limitations. Like, limitations, like that's a function inside of a machine. Like, oh, let me just get to the limitations. I don't understand that. Like, you could have put so many things inside of this machine to help us be more creative, put functions in there for creativity. And instead, like, you market the limitations. I'm tired of the limitations. Go back to the 80s, go back to the 90s, go back to the 2000s. It's not even about the limitations, it's the lack of basic functionality that I'm kind of like, why? You know what I mean? Like, why? Sometimes it's more about the way I work and the type of functions that I like having, okay? Other people will look at this and be like, this is great, I love it, this and that. So yeah, I mean, there's also me involved in here because I like to work in a certain way, and there's some functions that to me are just basic functions, like different mute groups. The pads are monophonic. You can't like play the same sample over itself. No reverse. Like, it's hard to just get a tail at the end of a sample. I mean, like, there's only one filter per pad. The resampling is really bad. I'm sorry, I don't know who thought of that idea, but I got some issues with the step sequencer as well. Why can't you load samples via USB? Like, another limitation. There's a port right there. Create ideas for samplers. Don't create limitations. That's a quote. I will live a happy life. I got one of the best samplers in front of me. I can make beats all day on this. It still has limitations, of course. When they come out with a new update, if these things change, I'll probably pick one up then. But for now, this just seems like a weird workflow that, I wasn't expecting it to be this way. All right, cool, that was it. That was the video. I was ranting for like 10 minutes. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.